Welcome to Gamescom.
Fantastic. Game trailers all access.
Capcom came to us and asked us to basically give a fresh look at DmC. I would describe this as a rebirth, so it doesn't take place chronologically in, before or after the other games. It's a story about Dante when he's young, it feels maybe a bit more urban, kind of more contemporary, I think, than fantasy. But I think it retains all of the hallmarks that make DmC what it is. Today we've been showing mainly combat, because I think actually the most important aspect of DmC is the fun chaining of combos and the combat system and how that feels. So we've been working a lot with Capcom Japan on that. One of the areas that Capcom brings, a lot of is the combat, through games like Street Fighter and Devil May Cry, and also, classics like Power Stone. It's got such a heritage in combat, and so Capcom Japan have been visiting us, in particular Tsuno-san, who was producer on 2, 3, and 4 Devil May Cry, working with our designers down to kind of frame-specific mechanics and responses to just get that feel there. So if we do our jobs right, it's their combat expertise and our kind of storytelling. We should be able to come up with something that's worthy of the franchise. But there are other aspects to the game that we've only hinted of. For example, he's got different forms. He's got an angel form that has different weapons that you can toggle between, a devil form, a demon form rather, and a human form. And you can swap between them on the fly and chain a lot of aerial-based combos, so a lot of the action can take place, depending on your skill, off the ground. I guess you could equate it back to like the different styles, like Gunslinger, etc., in previous Devil May Cries. But it was important for us to make sure that you could swap between everything on the fly as you go along, because that gives you more creativity as a player to chain different combos together. Not only are the Angel and Devil form used for combat, but they're also used for traversal. So the world in which this game takes place, it's the real world. It's a very suppressed real world. But the demons control it from behind the scenes, from this parallel dimension called Limbo. And when they spot Dante, they're out together. When they spot him, they pull him into this parallel world. And this world is it's alive. It spawns enemies like a body would spawn white blood cells to kill a foreign invader. It tries to crush and destroy him. So the world's morphing around you, and Dante can use his angel and devil powers to glide, to traverse like Spider-Man, to rip out bits of the scenery, and the walls actually bleed, and manipulate the world in areas that hasn't been, in ways that hasn't been seen before in Devil May Cry, kind of more traversal-based ways. We're still keeping the story under wraps, but we're going all out on the story on this game with extremely high production values. There will be somebody asked earlier if there will be any sexy girls, because that's what's traditionally been in Devil May Cry. It depends on your definition of sexy, but I think so. But we're keeping that under wraps for now. We're approaching the world and the story building in a similarly kind of cinematic way, with a strong emphasis on characters. We're shooting this one we shot it out in LA at Giant Studios, who just shot Avatar and Tintin, so it's the same crew and setup. So he takes the kind of the story and the world very seriously. But this one's been particularly challenging because the world's not static. It moves around and shifts around Dante and changes based on what you do. So that's a new challenge that we're taking on that we've not attempted before. In music terms, as you're playing, depending on your ranking, different aspects of the music start kicking. So, like for example, you might start off just with the bass line, and then the drums, and then the kick in, and then if you go into the higher ranking levels, then the chorus and the vocals kick in, and it really helps to kind of make you feel like you're progressing in combat and getting better and better, and kind of tries to get you into that zone where you're kind of seamlessly swapping between enemies fluidly in the air. So when it works really well.
When people first saw DmC 1 year ago, a lot were very outspoken about Dante's new look, the new attitude of the game. Were you taken aback by this kind of response, or has that only strengthened your resolve?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't taken aback by the sheer force of some of the fan reaction. Not everyone, but there's a reason for the way things are. I mean, this is a rebirth, a new perspective. There is a reason why Dante has black hair in this one, and why, you know, we do kind of, the story does go into that. But it hasn't changed our resolve in what we're doing. You know, Capcom didn't come to us to do a straight up sequel. They came to us for a new perspective. And there's a reasoning behind the perceived madness. And I actually think, rather than focusing on the small details, as we reveal more, like the hair color, you know, as we reveal more about the depth of the combat, more about the world changing, more about the story that drives it, I think it should all fit together and make sense. So bit by bit we hope to, you know, turn around some of those negative perceptions, and because actually I think at the end of the day it's the game that will speak for itself, the game and the overall experience. You should really get your chance to play it and then see how it feels and fits in. I think it's a little premature to completely discount it based on concept art or imagery or screenshots. It's too early for that. There is no announced timetable yet, and it's not that there is one and we're keeping it secret. We are actually working on some fundamentals to make sure it's right, and then we will be announcing it sometime.